Welcome to SCAL6, My Favorite Things, Part 2, Text. In this video, I'm going to be covering my favorite things that are specific to the text functionality within SCAL6. Now, none of these items are unique. You'll find them in other programs. However, the fact that all of these are within this single program, SCAL6, is what makes this program so special to me. My first favorite thing regarding text is the fact that there are several ways that you can install fonts to use in SCAL6. Naturally, there's the regular way in which you just install the font, into Windows or onto your Mac, and then it shows up in all applications. But a second way is that you can put them into a My Fonts folder, and let me show you how to do that. So I'm in a Dingbats folder here, and I'm going to select these two fonts. So I'm going to grab these two TTF fonts, and I'm going to copy. And of course, you can copy as many as you want to. And then you come over to, in the Documents folder, go to your Craft Edge folder, subfolder, and then come down to a folder called My Fonts, open it, and then you can, paste whatever you're copying. I'm just right-click and paste them in here. And now then these two fonts are going to show up in the font menu in SCAL6, but will not be in any of your other Windows applications. So, if you're really into, having a whole lot of fonts, a font collector like I am, it can be very handy to save them this way. And as far as I know, there's really no limit. I had a few thousand in here as a test that I kept them in there for like 8 months or whatever, and I had no problems with it bogging down the software. So, there's not like some limit where you can only have 25 or 100 or whatever. Feel free to put as many in here as you want. You'll see that I have a whole bunch of them that start off with the letters SLF, which stand for single line font, and these are OPF fonts that I collect from various places, but mostly from a website called Single Line Fonts. And the OPF version of the fonts, it can only be used in a couple of different programs, and SCAL6 just happens to be one. If I were to not put them into this folder, then anytime I wanted to use one, I would have to temporarily install it. And let me show you that, because that's the third way that you can have fonts in SCAL6, is that you can come over to your fonts, your text panel. Let me pop that out. And right here, this little icon here with the TT on it, you can click on that, and then you can go locate the font that you want to temporarily install. And a temporarily installed font will only be available while you have this instance of SCAL6 open. As soon as you close SCAL6, that font is gone. So it's really great if you just want to use a one font, one time for one project. It's a really great way to go. So for this one, I'll open up this cityscape and we'll grab this one. Okay, so now then, and it comes up and says it's been loaded. So now then when I come to my font menu, all right, and then I come down, and then I will see, first of all, the animal silhouettes here, the two animal silhouettes that I selected. And then also when I scroll down here, I will see, I should find that city scape, and there it is right there. Or it's the other ones, one of the other that I just opened. But anyhow, so that, again, just a couple options there for you in terms of installing fonts to use in SCAL6. The next thing I like is the Library Fonts tab, because it's very easy. Now, a lot of programs have this now. They'll have some sort of, font map. One program that I really liked, but one thing that I didn't like about its font map was that if you had any particular font, in fact, let me come down and show you Samantha, because it's kind of a well-known font and has a lot of the extra characters that you can only really access by having a character map like this. What would happen with some of the programs, and particularly this one, is that there would be gaps in here. Like you'd come along to here, and as soon as you got past your regular letters, then it'd be like you'd have to scroll before, and it would just be empty boxes until you got to the next set, and then it'd be more empty boxes. So the nice thing is that SCAL6 strips out anything that's basically a missing glyph that's in that particular font map, so that you don't have to as you scroll, you're going to see everything that's in there immediately available. And then, of course, all you have to do is when you come down, you find something that you want to use. It's just a matter of clicking on it like this, and then it shows up over here, on your screen at some location. So that's handy. The other thing that I like about the one here in SCAL6 compared to others is that you can increase the size of the characters the glyphs so that you can see them better, because in some cases, you can't fully see what the character is before you click on it if it's really small. So that's another really nice feature about the Fonts tab. The third thing is that there is a favorites thing. So if you want to set, instead of seeing all, you can switch to favorites, or you can switch to this project. And then also you can scroll down and look at all the fonts, let's say all the fonts that begin with N, and so you can more quickly find a font that you want. So again, just a couple of just little extra things that make working with text nicer. This next one is a shortcut key sequence that you use while typing text that I wasn't aware of for the first couple of years. Then after I discovered it, I was like, oh, this is cool. So I'm going to just start typing some text. So let's say I start off typing happy and I get this far and I go, oh, I forgot to change fonts. No problem. While I'm still in this text mode, I'm going to hold down the control key and the shift key. And if you're on a Mac, that'd be the command key and the shift key. And while I'm holding these down, it temporarily takes me back into the regular select mode. And while I'm in this mode, I can come over to my text panel and I can use anything that's available here. But for now, I'm just going to change the font, and my font I know is in my favorites folder. So there it is. I changed the font, and I can also resize. I go, you know what? I think I'm going to make it like a little bit bigger so I can see it better on the screen. So again, this whole time I'm holding down the control and shift keys, and then I let go. And without touching anything, don't click anywhere, just without touching anything, just keep on typing. Okay? And then basically I can complete the text that I want to use. So that's just kind of a little cool thing, again, that way you can stay in the text mode the entire time and not have to go back and then go click again and get back typing text, etc. My next favorite thing with regards to text is the font preview option. And so with my text selected, I can go to Text, Font Preview, and this window opens. And in this window, I can have a look at other options for my text. And so I'm going to make it bigger, and then I'm going to reduce the size of the display or the thumbnails so that I can see more. Now, I don't recommend you put too many in there. It can get very sluggish, so maybe just 3 columns. Just try that. And then when you do this, now you can sort of speculate on what you might want to use. So I can pick some others. Let's say, oh, I kind of like this one, and maybe I like this one. And so you just come through and you pick a few of them. And again, one of the keys about use this window is kind of take it slowly. Again, if you have lots and lots of fonts, and depending on your computer, it may become sluggish. But anyway, so just you scroll through, whatever rate you want to go, find the ones you're sort of speculating about, and then down here click on Display Selection Only, and then you can look at the ones. You say, okay, well, I don't want to use this, and so click on the ones you're no longer interested in. So, nope, I don't want that one, and I don't want that one, and maybe not that one, and then maybe not this one. And then once you're down to the one you want to use, then you can click on Change Font, and it will change your current text to that particular font. The last favorite thing involves a new feature that's been added into SCAL6, which is split by. And the way to illustrate that is I typed out the numbers 1 through 10 here. And when I go under, and before, if y'all wanted to ungroup these, I could just go to Object Ungroup. All right. And it would ungroup each one of these individual characters. The same thing is now available under Text, Split All. And then when you do that, it basically does the same thing as what previously was the ungroup. Now, the difference here is I type this, but I put a space between every one of the numbers. And then when I select this, instead of using split by all or split all, I'm going to do split by spaces. And then when you do that, then you have each number is now individual. And then because the 10, I didn't have a space between it, now it's its own character, right? Or it's its own, object, so to speak. Oops. Down here, I have a list of, fruits that I did, and I just basically used the carriage return, the enter key, in order to, make a list of these individual, fruits. And then the split by, for it, I could use split by lines. And then same thing, it keeps, all the apple is now together, the pears together. Basically each one of these, everything that's on its own line is now its own object. So that is a very handy thing when using for designing. When I get to the particular video on design, I'll actually show you an example of where I use that. Alas, I remembered one more of my favorite things that dealing with fonts that I almost forgot to cover, and that has to do with when you have a font that's not in. So you're opening up a file that has a font that's not installed. So what I did is I created a quick file, and I used this dingbat font called Corn Pop, and I saved my file. So now then I'm going to close the program, and then I'm going to reopen it and to show you what kind of pop-up message you get. And this is going to happen again when you use a temporary font, or in the event that you open somebody else's file. And that happens a lot to me because people will need help with the file, and so I'll have them send me the file. And then when I get that file, then what happens is I get a message like this: missing corn pop. Okay, and then it gives me an option to replace it with another font. However, what you can do instead is just click on ignore if you don't want to replace it. And when you click on ignore, it brings up that same font. It's no longer a font now that it's basically now been converted into a vector object. So you can't go back and do anything with it because it's gone. But the nice thing about that pop-up window, it tells you the name of that font, so you can go find it again, in case you no longer have it installed. And again, it still works. I've worked with a lot of programs that don't do that. What it does is like it forces you to pick a different font. It's not going to do the conversion for you. So that's another nice feature. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, if you have any questions, please contact me.